Welcome back, everybody, and today's lesson is going to be a landscape, but a little bit more whimsical, I guess you could say. So I hope you have all your stuff together, and we can get started right away. So this is going to be done just in black, white, and maybe a bit of raw sienna. Not much color. It's going to be basically about your strokes and kind of doodle type of look to it, but it's really an awesome way of painting a landscape. So I have my file folder here, and I have some black gesso, and this is what I'm going to be using today on my file folder. So I want you to put a nice coat of black gesso on your substrate of whatever you're using. You can do this on a canvas, paper, whatever you have on hand. So you don't want to see your paper or canvas through this. Now if you don't have black gesso, you can also use just black paint. Craft paint is a little less shiny, or if you have a flat, what do they call, oh so flat from Golden has a flat paint now in acrylics. They're a little pricey, but they are awesome. And then I want you to dry it really well before we continue. Alright, so that's good and dry. I'm just going to leave this gesso to the side because I may use it. What we're going to do is we're going to work from the back to the front. So we're going to do all the background, and this is going to be a nighttime scene. We're going to use mainly white paint and white markers. So if you got Posca's, Sharpie has one out, and well, you can get many different types out there. We'll be using a lot of markers in this, but we're also going to be using a deer foot stippler. So what they look like is it's got a bit of a edge to it, like it's lopsided, and it looks like a deer foot. It's round, and we want this for dry brushing. We're going to do a lot of dry brushing with this. You also want a flat, this is a number 10, or if you got a 1/2 inch, that will work too for doing the house. And we're going to put a little house in the background. So if you got a palette ready, you can get that. I'm going to just use a let's see, cinnamon, yeah, a light cinnamon. It's just the craft paint. You can use whatever paint you have and whatever color, as long as it's a brown color. You don't want it too dark because we are using a black background, so we want to be able to see it. So you can put some of that on your palette. And you're going to want white, not cream, but white. So I got white. It's stuck. All right. Now first we want the little house, and we're going to have a night sky with some stars and bushes in front, and then maybe, I don't know, rabbit or whatever you want to put. So let's take our flat, and I want to make, I don't want the house to be white, but I don't want it to be a dark brown either. It's kind of a grayish color, so I'm going to take some of that black gesso also. Just kind of put that there, and I think I'm going to take a little bit of this white, put it to the side here, And then I'm going to clean my brush. Take just this, not much, a little bit of that gesso, and I'm going to make a gray. Now I can add that gray to this white now, so I'll just take some more of that white and a bit of gray on my paintbrush. So it's a light gray. Not sure where I put all my paper towels. And then a little bit of that brown mixed in with that gray, and that'll kind of give it a dirty gray look, and that's what I want. So I think I'm going to have my house about a third of a way down, and I want it kind of in the center. So I'm just going to make a line across here like this. This house is going to be very, very simple. So it's not going to be a complicated drawing by any means. Okay, so that's the first part of my house. Now I'm going to have a second part of the house, so I want it to be a little bit darker. So I'm actually going to put a little more of that brown in that muddy color that we just made. But this time I want to just come up. Don't be parallel with the bottom of this part. I want to be up. And then put a little bit of, not as big, but a little bit of a side house there. And you want the, then I want to take this gray color, and I'm going to add a little bit more of this white to it on one side here. Just a bit. And then I'm going to put this, actually I think I'm going to make it darker. Dip my brush in there. And I'm going to go right across. And this is going to be a little bit taller. This is the roof. Okay. And then I'm going to make the other roof a little bit brown. So I'm going to take that brown again and add a little bit more. I want it fairly dark. And maybe a smidgen of black in there. But I want it more on the brown side. Okay, and this is going to be shorter, so don't make it too tall. So go past the edge of the, I think, I'm going to make it a little bit, I want it to be past. Okay, so we're going to let that dry, or you can take your heat gun, hair dryer, whatever you have. All right. Now with a, I guess you could do it with the same brush here. I want to take some of that black gesso again. I'm just going to put it off the side here. And I want to make a, you can make as many windows as you want, but we're going to do a door, and the door is going to be white. So I want the window to be close to the roof, just like that. You can make one bigger than the other. I think I'm going to make this one a little bit wider. And I want a little one right here. Like that. You can make as many as you want. Very simple painting this week. All right, and then with white, just plain white on your brush. And I want to make a door, and the door is going to be up to the top of that roof too. Like so. That's it. Doesn't have to be real. If some of the background shows through, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to add to this. Okay, so I want to make a chimney, and I'm going to use the brown. And we're just going to do a little one. So right about here, I guess. You can put yours wherever you want. Just a little one. All right. Now, with our deer foot, we're going to leave this for now, and we're going to start doing some tree frosted limbs, basically. So what I want you to do is get a paper towel or Kleenex or something to damp off your deerfoot stippler. And I want you just to dip a bit of that white on the very end, wipe it off. See how there's hardly any there? And then I want you to kind of smudge it in on a paper. And then with that, I want you to go on your paper and just swirl. And we're going to make some frosted tree line. So you want it fairly dry. You don't want it too thick. And we're going to do bushes. So you can do some bushes there. And some of that gray. And then along the bottom here, you can start doing that too. It's a little bit of a different color. Some more gray. Okay, and just around here, just very, very lightly. It's very dry. Your brush should be very dry when you do this. It's kind of foggy looking. So I haven't dipped into my paint. It's very, very dry brushed. Okay. Okay, now I want you to take as much of the water out after you've rinsed it. Go back into that white again, just a bit. Put it in the, see, there's hardly anything on this brush. And then right in front of this house, I want you to scrape it back and forth. Go up into the house a little bit, because I don't want to be able to see the black. little bit more. And then a little bit more concentrated white as you go down here. But I don't want it like a line. You shouldn't be able to see a line. It should be very speckled looking, like this. The only concentrated part would be up here, the white. Just in there is where you want it to be bright. Nowhere else. Okay? Once that's done, I want you to find your Sharpie marker, white. Let's see, where did I put it? I have the Poscas. These are the fine ones, the fine tipped ones. And now comes the fun. So where we put these swirls of, looks like frost, what I want you to do is bring down some branches of trees. You don't have to get too crazy with them. You could stylize them if you want. I'm just going off the sides of the page. Make sure it's not too wet, so dry it up as good as you can on a paper towel or rag or whatever you have. And now I want to emphasize more of that. So more dry brush than anything else. So with a very light touch, I'm just going to go where I have some of these stems and add a little bit more of this dry brushing. I don't want to cover it all though. I do want to have a little bit more in some areas. Maybe a little more in here. You could even dot. That kind of looks cool. Just play with texture. I think I want a bush in here, so I'm going to just put a little bit more there. And I think I want this to be darker in here. I can still see a bit of my pen work. And now I'm going to add a little bit of brown to that mix. Just throw a little bit of brown here and there. So I think I'm going to put some in here. And let's see, maybe, let's see up there. I'm going to put that in there. That. Take some of that white. Wherever I have the tree, I might want to emphasize the ends of the branches. That. Okay, I'm going to take my pen again and continue doing some more excuse me, line work. If you have a fine Posca or jelly rolls, the only thing with jelly rolls is you have to use them on the very last part because they will come off in your, if you reapply any wet media. Maybe we'll put little dots on some of them. Just change them up a little so you can see that there's a difference. Alright, right here I think I want a really complex. I'm going to try and do it as fine as I can. I want a lot of marks coming off of it, this one. Just to give it a different look. And I want it to be shaped a certain way so that it's more rounded and you can tell that it's separate from the other one. So I know this is different because it's very full of mark. And that'll separate the look of it. Okay. And now I want to put down here a little more clusters. So maybe we have something different growing in here. I'm going to actually put more in here. This is where we put a little bit of that brownish color. So let's put a few in here. Like I said, you can also overlap. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some kind of maybe allium seed heads or something in the winter time. So I can make some circles. That. And then maybe another bush here. Right there. And maybe as I get down here, maybe they're bigger heads of whatever. And then take your Posca again and start doing more line work. Just make up some. Just keep doing it. You want to fill the areas as much as possible with different marks of vegetation or whatever you want to call it. And maybe they're not true to nature, but this is a whimsical type of thing. Let's do some circulars. Like I said, they don't have to be true to nature. We're playing, making marks, making whimsical. Don't know how else I can explain it. That's what it's not folk art, it's not primitive. I would say more whimsical. Look, I've seen a few artists do this type of look. I like it. I think it's very soft and magical looking, I guess you could say. You could make a bunch of your own marks beforehand if you're not sure what to put down. That would be a good idea, just to practice different ways of doing vegetation in a whimsical way. Okay, and let's put some more of these guys in, maybe closer up so they're more up front. You can overlap them. Let's put some more bushes in here on the corner. Alright, and a few more of these. Alright. So now, let's try that, and then we'll do some more of this frosted look. Taking our Deerfoot stippler again, and we can take some more of that white, pounce it, get some of it off, and then just along the top part, go around the edge of the ones you did. Just add some more texture to that. Let's see. So on here, on the top, like that. And then in here we can just swirl along the edge. And that gives it a different texture look. So I want it kind of foggy looking. Okay. And then, let's see. A little more up here, I think. Maybe a few more down here, I think. Oh, that's too bright, but we're going to work with it. Be a little brighter down here because it's real close. Okay, so let's try that again. And take our markers out again and do some more doodling. You can add more texture to you want. Let's make some more of these. A little bit more pouncing of that. just to make it disappear, kind of in the background. And I think this one can have a little bit more. That there. Now we can also do the windows on the door, on the house, like the frame. You can put panes in them. Like that. And maybe a few stars. Now you can have a shooting star, you just swipe them. And stars are, as you know, probably, they're not all evenly spaced. So just remember that. You can add some. That could be snow too. It's whatever you want. I might put some snow also in it. I think I'm going to put some round balls on this shrub here, just to bring it out, just so that it's a little different looking than the others. So on the ends of some of these branches, you don't have to cover the whole thing with it, but just to show that it's a different type of bush. Now, we're going to put something, I want something with some brown in it, so we could do the bunny or a fox, probably a rabbit. Let's put a rabbit, so we can just have the rabbit sitting there, or let me think. I'm going to put him in white first, just to, I'm going to give him a big ear. He's going to be a looking at the house, I guess. More of a stylized bunny. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of brown in there, just around his tail. And maybe on his ears. Just going up the backs of his ears like that. And down his back. Like that. And we'll dry that. Now, one color that we are going to use is a little bit of yellow, but I'm going to use it in your Poscas. It's a nice bright yellow, and it's just going to be for the inside the windows, where the lights might be on or whatever. And I'm just going to put a little bit of a light in the window. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just like that. And then I want a moon. I think I want a moon. So let's put a moon in. So I'm just taking this deer foot again, and I'm just going to put it right here. I'm just going to twirl. Okay. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of snow also. So I'm just taking a toothbrush and I'm going to flick it. I want it fairly watery. Want big drops or there. Then you can go in. Fingers are a mess now. And do some bigger ones with your Poscas. So the ones up front would be a lot bigger, so you can put some big ones here and there. You could use something round and just put it in that way with a Q-tip or something. Just do whatever. But you want some of all sizes. You just don't want one particular size. And don't make them too close together, like evenly spaced, because they don't look, it doesn't look real then. And then I want to take my black Posca, or at this point you could probably just use a marker or a pen. I'm going to use a Posca in black. And I'm going to outline some of the area by the door. Maybe a little bit on the roof here, maybe. Make some lines here and there. Just to show that it's a roof. And I think I need a little bit of a shadow around that tree. So I'm going to take my flat brush again. And a little bit of that gray on one side of my brush. And I'm going, let's see. need enough water on my brush too. I'm just going to go along one side of this. It might be need a little bit darker. Along the bottom and one side. It's just a little bit lost there. And just take there. A little bit of shading. Just needed to show a little bit. We can put a little bit more white in here. Like that. I'm going to put just a smidgen around the bunny, just to show him up a little bit. And then I'm going to make his tail real bright. I think he needs some bright white on him. His little tail. On the top of his head, needs a little bit more in his ears. Nice bright white. So he's kind of glowing in the dark from the moon. There. All right. Now you can also, let's dry. Just put it, there it is. You can add some marks to add back some black if you want. Sometimes that's nice. Sometimes when you do a lot of white, you kind of lose, it kind of all blends in too much. So it's nice that you can go in with some black again in some areas just to define those areas again, so you're it's not lost. So I'm just going to do these weeds or whatever they are. They kind of remind me of allium seed heads. I think that's it. Yeah, a couple on here. And that should be good. We'll take a look at it and see if there's anything else we want to do. We could actually do that. And maybe just outline a little bit around that rabbit. Take away some of that white just to define him a little bit more. I think, yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe put some more branches in here. Just to cover this area. Like that. And there it is. I think it's done. So very, very simple. I love doing these. You can, you know, spruce it up more if you want, if you find that, well, maybe these tree limbs need to be a little bit thicker in the centers. It does add to the look. It helps them to stand out more when you do different things like this. Add the thickness instead of have all the branches the same thickness. Just make some a little bit thicker or thinner or whatever. And it'll change the look of that area. And it's kind of like doing their own, each one has their own little vignette. So let's do this one here. We'll bring this one down more, maybe into that tree. Just helps it, pops it out more. So that's our frosty winter wonderland. So I hope you'll give it a try, and it doesn't have to be black and white. You can put this to color too. So if you wanted more blues, do the blues. But the trick is to stick with analogous colors, so colors that are beside each other, and only go for 3 maximum. So you could do the green and yellow and blue, or you could do all shades of blue with maybe a bit of yellow. You know, the main color, don't go crazy with the colors, because then you lose it, because there's enough busyness with the mark making. You don't need to put a lot of color. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the new year. Wow. Have a fantastic New Year's, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.